Okay, Tom, I got 602. Once you set it for
John Porter has been a staple of the Best of the West for over a decade, providing viewers the opportunity to pack into the high country each week without leaving the comfort of their living rooms. Having guided well over 100 bighorn sheep hunts, John has just about seen it all.
Dead. Awesome. Oh, he got scoped in the head. Awesome, bud. Dead. Outstanding.
Nice job.
Nice. Perfect.
Thank you, John Porter.
And behind every well-placed shot has been a well-built rifle. Best of the West builds custom rifles in a variety of calibers, anywhere from a 6.5 Creedmoor to a 375 H&H. Each one topped with a Husqvarna optic and turret built to match the ballistic profile of that rifle, making the Best of the West shooting system one of the fastest, easiest, and most accurate shooting systems available. This week, we're privileged to be hunting with Wyoming native Mark Raymond and his son BRECK on this week's long-range hunting adventure.
One of the problems with the way I do these horses is I ride and pack everything. That way we got trade-off horses, and so we're constantly doing some adjustment on pack saddles and trading them back and forth. A lot of people, they take a pack saddle and put it together and get everything all set up for a specific horse, which is a really good idea, but I like to have all my horses where they can ride or pack. So we end up changing stuff around a little bit. Minor adjustments.
Oh, it's not as heavy as it looks.
Just a little different rigging than most people run. So the rear breeching is fairly similar to what most people do with your quarter straps. How these set, obviously you can adjust these like most any pack saddle. This breeching is one that I made, and so adjustment of it is pretty critical. Otherwise, if it hangs wrong, the edge of it can kind of cut in. But this biathane works pretty good. Breakaway sticking out. This is one of the things that I do different. I run a crupper on with the breeching. The reason being is because a crupper only works just once in a great while. The breeching does most of the job when you're running down reasonable grades, hold the saddle back. But when you get to that real steep spot and the horse kind of tucks his butt in underneath, that loosens the breeching and the pack slide forward. So that's when the crupper works. So most of the time it's hanging there a couple inches below the tail, not doing anything right until you really need it on that real steep spot. So on the front end of these saddles, I come off of the tree up here, which is pretty normal on a front breast collar, but then I also come off, run a 3-piece breast collar like you would on a roping horse. Also grab a hold of the cinch on each side, and then also in the center on the cinch. So if you hold the cinch in place, it doesn't take too much to hold the saddle in place beyond that. So a little different rigging for probably a little steeper country than most people run horses in, but it's what I've come down to over the years, and seems to work, but I'm sure there's a lot of ways to skin a cat.
My first sheep hunt was 25 years ago, actually tomorrow, when I shot my first sheep. That was a hunt I did when I was 31 years old, and it was a great hunt, but it was just me and a guide. This is going to be a hunt with my son, who I don't get to see very often. He's 29 years old, lives in Minnesota, so when we get out and are able to hunt together, it's a pretty special time. When he was 15 years old, I put in for a Wyoming Bighorn sheep tag, and he got it on the random draw. So we went up, we got him a really nice sheep too. So this is an important hunt because this is a hunt where he's an adult, I'm an adult, and we can go and get a sheep together and hopefully have a great time. So this is going to be a once-in-a-lifetime sheep hunt. I'm getting older, and hopefully I'm in fairly good enough shape to still do this hunt. And but this is going to be my last sheep hunt, but I'm willing to put in the effort to get one. If we get it, it'll be great. If we don't, it's still going to be a great time.
Packing in the first day, there's that anticipation, excitement. We were really excited to get back to the country and just see where these sheep live because they're impressive animals and they're up high.
So this sheep hunting's pretty addictive, and it's a lot different country for us. You know, for me, being from Arizona, there's just something about it. I don't know, it gets in your blood and you just get mad at the sheep for some reason. Tough country, and you earn them, every one of them. There's no easy sheep hunt. I don't care what anybody tells you.
After a long day of packing, riding, and unpacking, the group is still able to find enough energy to get out and glass a little on the first day. For a sheep hunt like this, the name of the game is glass. After only a couple hours, the guys find a band of rams up in a basin, none of which would be considered first-day rams, but it's still encouraging. The state of Wyoming does not have a curl or age limit for harvesting bighorn sheep. However, John searches high and low to find the oldest age class of rams possible to ensure that populations stay healthy and strong. A few minutes later, John glasses up 5 grizzly bears traveling down the canyon. Bighorn sheep take no chances when it comes to predators in surrounding areas. All John and the guys can do is wait and see if the bears push the rams out of the area.
One thing about sheep hunting is every day we go out, most people don't realize it, it's a lot of hurry up and wait because you get where you need to be to look over the area, and you're sitting there glassing for hours on end. Some days we're glassing 8 hours just to look over the country and try to find a sheep or a decent ram to maybe go after that's a good enough ram to put the effort into. But it really is a sit and wait kind of a game, and you've got to have good optics and good glass and have a lot of patience because it can get pretty boring up there too. If you're just sitting there waiting for something to happen, and to find a sheep can be pretty hard. But we were seeing rams, so that was great.
So one of the afternoons, evenings, we were glassing. We actually had a big thunderstorm move in on us, and it snowed quite a bit, and we took shelter in a cave, much like a sheep would, and just tucked in out of the wind and tried to stay warm, and got to hear the lightning cracking and echoing up the canyons. That was pretty cool. It sounded like I don't even know what. Eventually the storm broke and we made it back to camp. I'm pretty sure it snowed the entire next day.
The next day, we woke up to snow, and we had at least an inch, if not an inch and a half or 2 inches of just wet snow all over the place in camp and everything. So we stayed in camp that whole day. There was just nothing we could do. The snow was coming down hard and heavy, and we just sat and went away. I had 10-day hunt scheduled, so I know I had 6 more days to go, so I wasn't too worried just yet.
With blue sky in the forecast, it's time to make tracks and see what the day brings. You know what they say, there's no such thing as bad weather, just soft people. Keep it here on the Best of the West.
Well, I finally get a little break in the weather maybe. So it's been snowing on us here for a couple of days, and yesterday we couldn't see anything, so pretty much sat around and ate food and took power naps, and so we're ready to go, I think. So sun's shining, a little blue sky, and time to go find a ram.
After spending the last 2 days stuck in snowy weather, John Porter and the crew at Morning Creek Outfitters finally catch a break in the storms. It isn't long before John spots a potentially great shooter, but there's a catch.
Day 6, John, our guide, spotted a really nice ram, and we were excited about that, but the issue with it was that he was 5.97 miles away as the crow flies. So we knew that if we were going to make an effort to get to the sheep, it was going to be a lot of work.
Having already dealt with packs of grizzly bears and snow in September, Mark and the guys buckle down for one of the longest stalks ever seen on the Best of the West. It'll be close to 15 miles on horseback before they reach the base of the mountain the sheep are on. Then it's over 2,000 vertical feet up to where the sheep are.
It was like a 12-mile ride over to get to that 6 miles across, you know, as the crow flies. And so it was a hell of a long day.
After about 5 miles of horse ride, or 5 hours of horse ride, I should say, we got to the bottom of the mountain, got to the canyon we wanted to be in, and we couldn't see the sheep. We made the decision to tie up the horses. There was no getting the horses through all the down timber and just extremely steep, rocky terrain. So we tied the horses up down in the bottom of the canyon and started from foot there. We estimated we were about a mile from the sheep.
We've got some nice rams spotted. We're getting ready to go after them. This should do it.
Hiking up was a lot of work. I'm a Minnesota guy and living in 900 feet elevation, so this high country stuff is definitely a different beast for me. But as you go, you get closer and closer, it gets tougher and tougher, but you've got that, you know, that end goal of getting this ram, and all of the effort that you take, and the further you go, the more motivated you are to get there and get the job done even as it gets tougher.
I figured it would take us about an hour to get up there, and it ended up taking us like 3 hours to get up there.
And I was a little bit worried because it was about probably around almost 6 o'clock in the evening. I was worried that we were going to run out of daylight because it was so hard to stalk those sheep. And it was straight up, and it was rocks, and it was down timber, and it was just unbelievable type of terrain people have never hunted before. I mean, I never had even. By the time we actually saw the sheep, I got into a position to make a shot on them, and I was 725 yards away, and this sheep was on top of this mountain, way on top on this giant cliff, and it was just crazy.
In the area that Mark was shooting, he was so high up there that one of the worst things that could have happened is he could have wounded the ram and have it run across into some really nasty stuff, or fall 1,000 feet off of that cliff face. I was very thankful when Mark made that shot to see that ram go straight down with a great shot from a great gun.
Are you left of the pinnacle? Yep. Okay, so he's quartering away from you?
Yep.
Okay, now he's broadside of your arm, give it a nice good squeeze, dead center, right down your shoulder.
The Best of the West is brought to you by the Wild Sheep Foundation, Huntin' Fool, the Best of the West Shooting Systems, Defiance Custom Actions, Hornady, accurate, deadly, dependable, Huskama Optics, and LongRangeStore.com. For information about Morning Creek Outfitters, please contact John at 307-587-5343 or email at jport06@hotmail.com. For more information about the products and gear used on today's show, please visit longrangestore.com or call 1-866-754-7618.
Folding. He's dead. Look at him. He's dead.
He didn't go anywhere.
He didn't fall. He just fell right where he was. Thanks, buddy.
Once the ram was down, there was about 5 minutes of jubilation, excitement, and then it was the realization of, okay, now the real work begins. We're gonna have to put in a heck of an effort to even get to this thing, let alone bring it down.
That was a great end to a great hunt, but that's the problem with sheep hunting, is that's when the real work begins, like, oh no, and now what do we do? Because we've got a ram on the top of a cliff, and how are we gonna get to this thing? We found a place how to get up on the mountain, or up on that cliff, and I'm 56 years old, and I'm in fairly good shape for my age, but there was no way in hell that I was gonna be able to go up and do that.
Mark decided at that point that discretion was the better part of valor, and bowed out and told us, hey, you know, I don't think I can make it up this, which I'm glad he did, because it was pretty scary stuff. And you know, I'd rather him say that and not get hurt than try and go up and get hurt. Sheep hunting in general is extremely difficult. Some hunts are easier than others, but this one was definitely one of the tougher hunts. And I'll never forget recovering that ram in those cliffs with Breck and Terrence at night. I mean, we had a beautiful full moon, and the view that we had, even though it was dark, you know, there's very few people who've ever been in that situation. And when you're going up those hills and trying to get through all the down timber and trying to get your way up to the top, just to even hope to find that ram, you know, you question a lot of times what you're doing and if you're making the right call and why you're doing it.
Well, we're here. It's been a long day. The day that started at 6:30 by breaking down camp after we had spotted a group of rams 5.97 miles away. Took a heck of a lot of effort to get up here. My dad ended up shooting this ram. He couldn't make it all the way up. He was pretty wore out, but we got him where we needed to get him to get a good shot, and he made it 725 yards. Great job by Mike getting us up there, kept pushing us, get us up, kept going, and yeah, what do you say, Mike?
Oh, day 8, I think everybody was getting a little tired, and we saw a bunch of rams the first couple days, and just nothing that we really wanted to kill, and not a first day ram anyway. And Mark passed. This is his second sheep, so you know, there's nothing wrong with being a little picky, and it paid off. And we think we started the day 6 miles away, but probably 15 miles on the horses, because it's not straight. And the horses are down at about 8,400 feet elevation right now, and we're at 10.7. So we've got to do some work here and have a long trip back to the horses, and probably a sleepless night or rolling around on the ground. But luckily we got a full moon, and that ought to help.
I also want to thank John Porter. Morning Creek Outfitters did a great job, great camp. We were comfortable every day. Great horses, had an unbelievable time, and definitely something I'll never forget.
Riding out of the backcountry, it was a great feeling. I was not only thankful that it was over and the hard work was done, but I was just thankful that I could see this country, be a part of this trip, and share a really special moment with my dad.
When I was riding out, it was a gorgeous day, and I was reflecting on the hunt, and I was just so thankful to have been able to do another sheep hunt with my son, and thankful that we got the ram that we were looking for. He's a nice ram, and it's just super thankful that everybody was coming out of this hunt. We were almost back to the truck, and nobody got hurt, and we got what we were looking for, and it was an ending to the best sheep hunt ever, my last sheep hunt.
Thanks for watching this episode of The Best of the West. Please join us next week for more long-range hunting adventures.